So this week is the 1 year anniversary of the sports shutdown. I remember talking to you that day, and you said that you guys had kind of gotten the guys out of their beds and told them, "Hey, we're going to eat breakfast and get on a plane and go home." Who told you though that it was off, and what was going through your head at that time?
That's a good question, Ben. Um, I'm getting a little older. I'm trying to remember exactly for you. One of us should remember. We talked to each other that day. Um, I do know that I never thought it was going to happen the night before. Um, as soon as I happened to, I was still in the hotel with Doug Erickson, and when they shut down the Oklahoma City Thunder Jazz game, um, so that's when I thought everything was in deep trouble. Um, so I thought there was a very good chance of it not happening. Um, then there was a lot. I just remember there was a lot of talk about fans in the stands. No play with no fans. Then it was like, well, we don't know anything about this virus, so how's it safe for the kids? I know I had that conversation with Dan Guerrero, like, well, what's it? How's it safe for the kids? My job's to worry about them, right? I'm their parent while they're with me. So I remember having that conversation with Dan, like, I don't care if there's if it's not safe to have fans, I can be safe to play. Back then was so much unknown back then. Well, now it is because we test every day, or it still wouldn't be safe to play. So, but I don't remember who actually told me officially. But again, they were playing back east. I know they stopped the Big East tournament at halftime, the noon game. So it wasn't, whoever had told me, it was not a shock. But when we told them the NCAA tournament was still on, but by the time our plane landed, the NCAA tournament was off, and it was a short flight from Vegas. So, but obviously not a shock.
You had a false positive the other week. Can you tell us how big of a relief, how much anxiety that caused, how big of a relief that was to get through that?
Gosh, and then the guys were in shock. I was trying to keep them, it was the day before we played Oregon, happened in the morning. So we had to send everybody home. We couldn't even practice. So we went up and played Oregon without practicing the day before. And we all had to sit around at home waiting to get the PCR test back to make sure we had a confirmation one way or the other. So yeah, the guys were really concerned. They're like, Coach, what does this mean? What how long are we out? A lot of questions that I didn't have answers. It's terrible when you don't have answers for your players, and that's with the virus, that's the case. It's like I've told them all year, though, I got an answer for you. I mean, if we get it, we're probably going to get shut down. So, but it was real then. They were like, well, how long? What are we going to miss? So that being the case, yeah, they were really concerned. They were just as elated, though. They ended up getting out of a day of practice, and we got to keep playing.
One more on it, if I could. Going back to Vegas, some family members are going to be there. Does it feel kind of like a symbolic milepost that the world's slowly kind of getting back to normal here?
Yeah, I guess, it's easy for me to say, I didn't lose my business like so many others have. 527,000 people have lost their lives, and millions of people unemployed, and millions of small business owners. We have one of our top 10 donors here at UCLA Athletics is Richard Pacholsky's biggest bankruptcy lawyer, him and his firm, and maybe in the United States. And he's the busiest human, and we've been, long story, but I was friends with him before I got the job. But anyway, I hardly can't even speak to the guy. He's so busy. That's how many businesses are going bankrupt. So, I don't want to say, everything's great, we're playing a tournament, but, you do got to try to look at some positives, but I don't want to say too much because, there's just always somebody going down. One of my dad's former point guards passed away back home a couple of days ago that from COVID. So it's not over, but it's great that we're playing.
Tracy.
Hey, Mick.
What's up, Trace?
Hey, with what this team's gone through, those last 3 losses, is that something that makes the team stronger? Is it, or if they lose one big game like that, can they build off that? Would you say when you lose 3 games like that, they emerge out of that more resilient at times, or is that specific to the team?
Well, I think, here's what I would say to you. Just look at what happened, right? We had a real tough loss at Colorado after, a great win at Utah, hard place to win, and we're up 20 the most of the game. So, then we had to, we got the short end of the stick and having to go play out of Oregon instead of them coming here, and went and, right now, if you were to ask me, if you were to give me a vote in the top 25, I'd probably put Oregon 6th or 7th in the country. Go up there and have a chance, compete and have the lead, have a chance to win against a team playing as well as they are. So we didn't hang our head after that game. After Colorado, and obviously, make the front end of the 1-on-1, play without Johnny, and could have easily beaten USC, should have beaten USC. So that, these guys haven't hung their head at all. Does it make you better? I guess it's a tough one. I think everything's a learning experience. You don't want to have, but come tournament time, though, Trace, you got to have learning experiences in practice and during the regular season, because, learning experience in a tournament gets you knocked out. So hopefully our guys have learned, and we'll be able to get over the hump and get on a 3-game winning streak and try to win this tournament. You guys are still getting to know me. I'm a big believer in, that there's only one winner in tournaments. So if you're going to, you might as well not even go if you're not trying to win it. So that's what we talk about here, and what it's going to take to win it, and being good enough for 40 minutes. It's not like we lack effort in the last 3 games. We just weren't good enough down the stretch. A few mistakes here or there, not good enough to get a basket on offense. So that's where you just got to. The only way to get better, though, I do say this. I'll finish with this, Trace. Playing good teams illuminates your weaknesses, and it does force you to improve, because you can win games and actually get worse because you're playing teams that just can't compete with you, or you get a false sense of reality, and then you run into a real team and nothing works that you're doing. It worked against inferior teams. So playing really good teams does force you to become a better team. So hopefully that'll pay off for us this week.
Do you do anything specifically at all to work on the front ends of 1-on-1s?
I'd like to sub in and shoot them. No, I think the most important thing, you can learn from that is we shouldn't have been in that position. Those kids individually, they've made big plays for us since I've been here, so it's not their fault. But I think we made some plays that put us in that position, unfortunately, where we had to, where it comes down to free throw shooting.
Sam, go ahead.
Hey, Mick. So you got people around saying you guys are looking like you could be a 10 seed, 11 seed in March Madness. Some people saying you're on the bubble, you're not. What do you think your tournament prospects are right now? What do you think you need to do in Vegas? And then just, do you have any thoughts on the wider national perspective of the Pac-12 as a whole, considering they might not have a top 4 seed at all?
I'll try to backtrack because you hit me with a lot, buddy. So help me if I miss something. All right.
Yep.
I would say, I think I just was clear. Oregon to me is I'd rank 6th, 7th, or 8th in the country right now. USC and Colorado are both top 20 teams. Why they're not, that's for other people to determine. But that's reality. And I think that'll bear out. If obviously you got to stay healthy. As far as us, I'm just trying to worry about get my team ready to win the Pac-12 tournament. Then the only way to win the tournament, you got to win the first game. So I just say to make sure that we took 2 days off. I thought we needed a mental break. It's been a long season for the guys. They've been through a lot. It's hard when you have high expectations and then you have injuries you lose guys. So that's tough. It's tough on the kids. So I wanted them to catch a mental break, realize this is a new season. And I'm focused on this week. So I don't really have an answer for you, on seeding and things of that nature. I would hope that we're in the tournament, but, again, I think, we need to make sure that we win Thursday night. But I don't look at it like, well, we got to win Thursday to secure a bid. I look at it like, we got to try to win the comp. We're going up there to try to win the tournament. We could have easily won 3 in a row. And if we would have, you'd be telling me we were a 5 or 6 seed and we'd be favored to win the tournament. So, how, because we lost 3 tight games to 3 top 20 teams, I don't know how that would knock us out. But it may be. I'm not going to sit here and lobby about stuff like that.
Ben?
Quickly on Johnny, update on him. And then you'd said after the game the other day, you got to keep the guys fighting because they're giving everything they have. What's been your message to them about that?
Yeah, Ben, I think it's gotten harder to sequester your team from noise, and make sure that they're listening to your message and not getting down from, because in our game, you can play well and you just don't win. And guys improving, but your team might not win, but you got guys improving because, we don't have any seniors. So again, we're trying to put bricks in a wall and build something special. So I think that is my biggest thing right now. While teaching, our teaching points of, in my opinion, the things that cost us the game last Saturday, a couple of, off balance spinning shots, some defensive breakdowns, because our margin for error isn't huge, especially you're out there playing without Johnny. So you got to teach, but at the same, you got to make sure your team still has their fighting spirit. So you got to keep their legs fresh, but again, I think mind fresh is just as important. So that's why I wanted to give them a couple of days off, even though yesterday they were all in the gym. Because we still have to get tested every morning. They were still all in there, but they're laughing, having fun. I think it's just really important, right? Frame of mind is really important late in the season. And when you're dealing with a team that's I'm concerned with their mind frame being fragile. So I'm trying to explain to them, look, we're playing well. So, nobody needs to be ashamed. We don't take moral victories. Okay. But we don't need to be ashamed. Okay. Just because you missed, everybody's missed a free throw. So just got to try to make sure, we're ready to give our best effort on Thursday night. It's Coach Wooden. True greatness is giving your best effort, and just make sure we're ready to give our best effort on Thursday night.
How about Johnny? Is he going to be able to go?
Hope so. He did some stuff today, Ben. He looked better. Offense is easier for him. When you got an ankle, Cody went through this, sometimes it's easier to play offense than defense because of lateral movement. But, we still got 48 hours to game time from where we're doing this interview, I think. So, I'm optimistic for him because he did do some stuff today and he was able to move around. So, barring any setback, I think, he's going to give it a go. question of how effective he'll be, that'll be another, I don't think we'll be able to determine that until he's out there at full speed.
Back to Tracy.
Hey, we haven't talked about that first game, Oregon State.
Yeah.
We all know about Ethan Thompson. It seems like Jared Lucas is one of those sneaky guys that can really hurt you too. Best 3-point shooter on the team. Talk a little bit about how you defend both of those guys and try to limit what they can do.
Well, I would say this, Trace, we couldn't make a layup or an open shot against them the first time. So if we would not have done a good job on limiting Lucas's 3-point attempts, they could have got to 60 and beat us. So, we're well aware of what he's capable of. I agree with you on him totally. He does not need a lot of time. Hasn't met a shot he doesn't like. He can really get them off. He's a taller version, kind of the kid from Utah, Plummer, that lets him fly. And they do a lot of things to try to get him shots. And we know Thompson's a great player. Thompson in the lane, he's 6'5", and he gets in the lane, he's a problem because he can pass and he can score over big people. So he's just a huge problem in the paint. But Lucas can really light you up. So he's definitely got our attention. I'll tell you, if we wouldn't have done a good job on him in the first game, we'd have lost. I think with a guy like him, Tracy, the final answer is you got to limit his attempts. And he's one of the leg kickers, so you got to be careful when you crowd him because refs buy into that at times, and it confuses them as to what's a foul or what's really an offensive foul.
Rick, go ahead.
Hi, Mick.
What's up, Rick?
Two unrelated questions. One, regarding scholarship numbers for recruiting, you're allowed to have 13. Obviously, added during the normal time, but during this COVID period, are they going to allow you to have a couple extra?
No, the rule is if you have a returning senior for 1 year this year, so if Chris Smith is our only senior, if he were to come back, we could have 14.
Oh, I got you.
So let's just say we had 5 seniors this year and they all wanted to come back for an extra year. We could have 18 next year.
Wow.
So it could really benefit some teams. Probably.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and Chris and I right now, we're just focused on his rehab. That's the effects. It's just, and it's a 1 year deal.
Yeah.
Forward, let's say who's a junior on our team, Jules Bernard. Let's say, because they all get the extra year. Next year, they say you have time to plan, even though how would you know, like say Jules Bernard walked in and said, coach, there's a certain master's I want to get at UCLA and I'm going to stay. I want to come back for a 5th year. That will count against your 13. So you go over for the 1 year. But I don't know. It makes no sense because you're not going to know until the kid does it. The kid ain't going to walk in and make that decision until the spring. Well, you might already sign guys early. So
they don't like to make it easy on you.
The practical application of that is going to be hard. Not this year, but the following years of guys, if they do say, hey, they want the extra year.
Second question is, how difficult is it in a tournament like the Pac-12, where, for example, no matter who wins, they have to play a team without a day of practice or to really do work. How do you prepare for the second game in a tournament like this?
Yeah, I think that, there's times where maybe if you've played the second game recently, your guys already, but both teams will know each other. I would say this, Rick, it's a bigger deal in the NCAA, because in a conference tournament, these kids all know each other. I mean, how much do we, now we only played Oregon State once. Okay. We've only played Oregon once, depending if they were to, if we were to win and they were to win. But, usually you've played a team twice. And your kids through scouting and so they know each other really well. But in the NCAA tournament, when you have 1 day to prepare, you win your first game. for game 2 and you only have 1 day to prepare for a team that you've never played and maybe a coach you've never coached against. I think, that's where it becomes harder.
Go to Ben for our final question.
I know you've been in touch with Jalen Hill. Can you say anything about his, if he's progressing with his situation and possibly coming back?
No, I have no information for you on that. I apologize. I just don't.
We'll wrap it up there. Thanks for your time, Coach.
All right, guys, we'll see you in Vegas.